Many of us live within a cycle that feels inescapable. We find ourselves repeating the same mistakes, sabotaging the same types of relationships, and ending every attempt at change with a familiar, crushing sense of regret. This experience often includes a strange form of self-awareness. You might recognize that a decision is harmful seconds before you make it. You see the collision coming, yet your hands seem locked on the wheel. Consider a person who enters one relationship after another, only for each to fail in the exact same way. Despite a revolving door of partners, the story always ends with emotional distance and a quiet, painful breakup. He attributes this to simple misfortune. He believes he is cursed with bad luck, or that he exists in a world where emotionally available partners are simply non-existent. A closer look reveals a pattern of selection. He consistently gravitates toward people who avoid intimacy. His choices, though seemingly random, are directed by a specific internal compass. This cycle is driven by an invisible, deeply embedded psychological program. It functions as an internal script that makes our choices for us long before we are consciously aware of them. The brain operates on a core psychological principle that prioritizes familiarity over objective right or wrong. If a behavior is known, the brain classifies it as safe, regardless of the eventual outcome. This preference manifests through the habit loop. Every cycle starts with a cue, a trigger demanding a response. This leads to the routine, an automatic action to cope. Finally, the reward, a momentary relief that reinforces the action. Completing this circuit reinforces the behavior. The brain logs the sequence as a successful strategy for managing discomfort, making it the default response for the next time that specific cue appears. These repeated patterns are biological responses, optimized by the brain to prioritize immediate comfort and minimize the energy required for conscious decision-making. These loops become physical hardware in the brain. Every repeated action causes neurons to fire in sequence, physically linking together to create dense neural pathways. Because the brain is designed to conserve energy and avoid the uncertainty of new experiences, it forces you down these established paths. It will choose a painful, familiar road over a healthy, unknown one. Returning to the relationship case study, the roots are often found in early development. An environment where emotional distance was the norm built a deep neural pathway equating distance with safety. Healthy, available partners trigger neurological discomfort because they do not fit the established map. The brain subconsciously rejects them in favor of partners who mirror the difficult yet familiar environments of the past. We gravitate towards experiences that match our pre-existing neural wiring. Our biology is tuned to seek out what is known, not necessarily what is beneficial. Repeated neurological loops eventually consolidate into a core belief about identity. What began as a coping mechanism hardens into a conviction, such as, "I am someone who always fails." This creates the karma chakra, an internal reality shaping the external world. A belief acts as a filter, narrowing your decisions. These decisions lead to actions, producing a result, serving as concrete evidence to reinforce the belief, closing the cycle. If you believe people will eventually leave you, you will act with defensive suspicion. This behavior alienates others, causing them to withdraw and providing you with the proof that your original belief was correct. Breaking a toxic cycle requires the removal of the identity built around it. To change the result, you have to challenge the core belief that governs the entire cascade. Most of us operate in autopilot mode. We are not responding to the present moment. We are reacting based on the dictates of our past programming. This state is maintained by an illusion. Autopilot makes each mistake appear as a unique event, preventing us from seeing the thread that connects our current failures to our past habits. Interrupting this system requires a conscious pause. You must observe your own behavior at the precise moment a familiar cue arises, creating a small gap between the trigger and your response. In that gap, you must choose the unfamiliar path. Because there is no established neural pathway for this new action, it will feel awkward, wrong, and physically uncomfortable. While your past programming is physically wired into your brain, recognizing the loop provides the first opportunity to endure that discomfort. By consciously choosing the new path despite the resistance of your biology, you begin the slow process of building a different. Do you ever catch yourself making the exact same mistake, reacting the exact same way, and feeling the exact same regret over and over again? When we ignore those repeated missteps, they don't just disappear. We start making excuses for them. We brush them off as a bad day or a stressful moment, and slowly, those actions become easier to justify. What starts as a simple error hardens into a routine. A repeated mistake becomes a habit. That habit solidifies into your identity, and eventually, that identity dictates your entire life. Let's stop that progression right now. Grab a pen and a piece of paper. We are going to build your personalized pattern interrupt plan. Writing this down shifts your position. You stop being a passive participant dragged along by your impulses, and you start actively engineering how you want to respond. Step 1 is awareness. Think of a recent moment where you felt completely out of control, or an action you immediately regretted. Write down what happened. Here is the rule. You have to look at this event neutrally. No self-criticism, no judging yourself as a bad person. Just record the facts like a scientist observing a test subject. Taking away guilt gives clarity. Instead of being tangled in emotion, you stand outside of it, examining the knot from a safe distance. That separation is required. You have to draw a clear line between you and your pattern before you can actually do anything to change it. Step 2. Look at the facts you just wrote down and give this recurring error a specific name. Be precise. Are you dealing with explosive anger, chronic task procrastination, or choosing the wrong partners? Your goal for this step is to write down one complete sentence. My recurring pattern is, followed by your specific issue. You cannot fix a vague problem. You have to correctly identify and name the behavior to take away its power over you. Step 3. Take that named pattern and trace it backward. We need to find the exact moment the fuse was lit. Look closely at your environment and your emotions right before the mistake happened. Were you under heavy stress? Were you feeling lonely? Did someone ignore you? Every action you take is part of a sequence. It starts with a trigger, which sets off your automatic reaction, which leads straight to regret. You need to isolate the very beginning of that sequence. Write your specific trigger down on your plan. By defining the catalyst, you now know exactly where and when your automatic loop is exposed. You know exactly where to strike. Step 4. You cannot simply delete a bad habit. You have to override it. We are going to build a strict if X, then Y rule. For example, if your trigger is stress and your old reaction is mindlessly scrolling your phone, your new rule is, if I feel stressed, then I take 5 deep breaths. Or, if your trigger is feeling ignored and your old habit is yelling, your new rule is, if I feel ignored, then I take a mandatory 10-second silent pause. Write your new rule down. Be prepared. The first time you execute this new rule, it is going to feel incredibly awkward and clunky. That friction isn't a sign that you are doing it wrong. That discomfort is the physical sensation of your old hardwired loop actively snapping. Step 5. You have to practice this new response intentionally, every single time the trigger fires. Every deliberate choice etches a new pathway in your brain. Right now, your old habit is a deep trench, the new rule barely a scratch. But with repetition, the balance flips. The old trench fills from disuse, and the new pathway becomes deep and solid. Consistency is what takes an exhausting, forced effort and turns it into an automatic reflex. Look at the paper in front of you. You now have a complete, customized plan mapping out exactly what sets you off and exactly how you will respond. Keep running this protocol. Soon, that 10-second pause or those short, deep breaths won't require any willpower. They will just be your default setting. Freedom doesn't mean living a life where you never make a mistake. Freedom is having the courage to look directly at your flaws without fear and actively stepping out of the loops that hold you back. Your external reality only shifts after you have successfully changed the internal pattern driving it. If you found this process helpful, please like, share, and subscribe. The journey to rewrite a life trajectory is long, but it starts with the decision to find